Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. We have a special guest in the building. We have some guests, I should say. Stacey Tisdale is here, and you brought some people with you today, Stacey?
I did bring some people with me today. We are very happy to have Marcus and Tina, who are a couple that we're going to be taking through an 8-week process to help them get their finances in order, to help them get their debt under control, and everybody's going to be able to learn about their story from a series Angela and I are doing with Wealth Wednesdays called Credit Chronicles, which we're doing with an app called Self that I know a lot of people really wanted to learn more about, which helps you save money and build credit. And we also are very honored to be joined by Stacey P. So we got Stacey T and Stacey P. And Stacey P is a financial well-being coach with Operation Hope. And Operation Hope is, I think, the biggest financial empowerment organization in the world. They have curriculum for students, and they have their Hope Centers all over the country where people can get free credit and financial counseling. So that's why we wanted to bring that to your attention. So between Self and Operation Hope, we got y'all covered.
All right.
Nice.
So let's go over the couple here that we have, Marcus and Tina. So clearly you guys are working with Operation Hope and with Self to rebuild your credit, so there must be some financial issues that you have, because I always hear that financial reasons are one of the main reasons that couples actually end up getting divorced.
We do have financial issues. We have student loan and we have some credit cards.
So how did you get so hurt with credit? Was it when you went to college they gave you those free credit cards and you rocked them out and then you realized that the interest rates were like 23%?
Actually, that was a little bit different than that.
Okay,
well,
what happened?
The needs the student loans is more the biggest thing there. But our credit, between us is, we gotta we didn't go crazy with the credit, but it's still there where we need to work on it. So, but it's not that way.
So how much
student loan?
How much in debt are you guys?
The student loan is over 100,000.
Student loans are about 100,000.
Yes,
the credit
and
cards are about 10, 12.
Yes, around there.
Yeah.
And when couples get married, you guys have each other's debt, right?
Yes.
Right.
Is that correct? Even
is
if one of you has good credit and the other one
Doesn't matter.
That is
you
correct.
you receive their debt.
Yeah.
I remember when I graduated out of college and I paid my school loan off and I was getting a refund check and I was so excited and I just got married and they took it and I couldn't understand why they took it, but I got married and my wife had student loans and credit problems and they took all my money and I was mad, but that's what happens when you get married.
That's interesting.
That
Did you
happened
guys?
to us last year.
Yeah. Did you guys discuss that before you get married? Like what financial situation you were in?
Yes, I know that he had student loan, but I didn't know, as he said, that they take your tax.
Your
They
refund
take
check.
it,
You
yeah,
ready
they
for that
take the
refund check? You
refund.
looking for it? I was looking
Yeah.
for it.
We talk about that. and
Yeah,
everything.
I was honest with her with that part before we got married. I was like, I got to let you know something. This is my situation with the student loans and credit. So I was honest with her. She still decided to marry me, even after all
You're a
that.
good woman.
That's so important because so many couples aren't honest with each other before they get married or even in their marriages. I think we were talking about we got 13 million Americans committing something called financial infidelity, where half the millennial population doesn't even know how much their spouse makes. They don't tell each other about different accounts. They don't tell each other about their debt.
Or if you get a bonus.
Or if you get a bonus and all that stuff. And I remember when I was little, my mom and I would go shopping and we'd hide those bags.
My
in the
mom
trunk.
sure did that.
But these two were really honest with each other. And that's a lot of people will ask me, should I even date or marry somebody if they have a bad credit score? And the real truth is, and they're such a great example, anybody can get into financial difficulties. But if someone's honest with you, and if they're willing to take a plan, it's even a journey you can go on together. That's what's really important. And
Is
that's
that
what'll
something
tell you a
now,
lot.
though, Stacey? Do people look at, like, when I was dating my wife, we didn't look at each other's credit or anything like that. That wasn't an option. We were just in love. I don't know. Charlamagne, when you and your wife were dating, did y'all look at each other's credit?
No, I didn't have no credit when me and
Yeah,
my
we
wife
did.
first started dating.
But it's not a
I had no
conversation?
credit. In fact,
No,
she actually was one of the people that told me to get a secured debit card to build credit.
Yeah, I didn't. It wasn't a conversation. Is that a conversation you're suggesting people should have now when they're?
Hell yeah.
Damn,
I know my boyfriend's credit score and everything.
Damn.
The stats are saying that that's important to half of millennials I think, I think one of our most popular Wealth Wednesdays was when you and Gia came on, and you talked about how you kind of were always just a team from the get-go when it came to your finances. You had each other's backs. You did different things. Every person is different. What's going to work for you, what's going to work for Charlamagne, works for them. Some people, it just might be their personality. They want to know everything. But the most important thing is that you want to find someone who's going to be honest with you. But one thing that I will say, and I can speak to this from personal relationships I've had too, I could say every personal little relationship I've had that didn't work out, and not that I've had very many, but I could tell we had such a hard time talking about money that it was really a sign that there were going to be bigger communication problems.
Right.
And that's what it really comes all about.
If you can have unprotected sex, you should be able to talk about your credit.
Right. But if you have a hard time talking to somebody about money, it's a good indication that you're going to have a hard time talking to them about a lot of things. So that's really, it doesn't matter your debt level. You guys, like Charlamagne and me, were, you had a good thing going with your spouses. It doesn't matter all of those things, but it's just an indication, and there's rules of engagement.
Now, so with the debt that you guys have, is it something that y'all think about a lot? Is it stressful? Is it causing any issues at all?
Yeah, we think about it a lot. It's always right there in our face every month, with the bill. But like you were talking about before, me and my wife are very honest with each other. That's one of the biggest things for her. She said, before we got into anything, she was letting me know about honesty with her. So as far as, it does create a little bit of stress, when, you just have to think like, man, I just got paid. I got to put this much towards this, and you barely have anything left over. But it does create not issues between us, but it's a strain. Just because it's there,
Yes.
it bothers us. But
So you guys are taking charge now to
Yes.
try to figure out how can you get things together financially. So let's talk about how Stacey and Operation Hope is helping in the Self app also.
So Operation Hope, we do a holistic approach when we're counseling individuals, because being truthful in your marriage, people need to be truthful with themselves first. And a lot of people are in denial about their financial situations. So Operation Hope, in helping people develop individual spending plans, also known as a budget, but also a savings plan. So we give people the tools to rebuild their financial selves and creating a legacy. Operation Hope is one of the premises is to create a financial legacy. And in communities with minorities, the conversation is just different. And so what we do is we give people access to information and to resources. And one of the greatest resources that we're finding are through these apps. And one app that is beneficial is Self. And Self has a dual benefit in that it helps you to save, but it also helps you to rebuild or build your credit. So that's really important. So I just encourage people to utilize, if you have the ability, Operation Hope. Of course, we're free. All of our services, long-term, short-term, our services are free. Our workshops are free. But to utilize whatever is out there, whatever resource is out there that makes you comfortable, as well as, the apps. And I encourage people to journal and that kind of thing. And again, using an app like Self that helps you track. And Self is good in that it's confined savings, in that you are committing to a certain amount of money every month, and it's done. They would prefer that it's automated so that it's done monthly, automatically.
Right, because if you miss one payment.
Yeah.
But they report it to the most popular loan is that they'll give you $500 and they'll put it in a CD, and you agree to pay $25 back a month. That forces people to save money, because a lot of us use our savings accounts like checking accounts. So it gives you that support, but it's also reporting those payments to the credit bureaus, so you're getting, that's positively reflected on your credit profile and your overall, eventually your credit score. We had someone here who started with that app and they had a credit score. Remember Sharita? She was homeless, 362. And it got to the 800 level. But everything we're talking about here, we're talking about money, but there's a lot more to money than money. And one of the biggest problems couples have is we're not really talking about money when they're having fights about money. The way we saw things handled growing up have a big impression on our financial beliefs. So when you have to really lose the notion of right and wrong when you're talking to your spouse about money, because if you're saying something like you're a terrible spender or you do this, you do that, you're essentially saying your mama, because that's where they, got that coming back. That's why money conversations get so heated. Right. These two are also a good example. Our culture plays a lot in our financial behavior system. Take, for example, I know an African-American woman who's married to a Caribbean man. And he came to the United States as an immigrant. So he came to the United States wanting to get an education. He came to the United States to build wealth and was able to do that. African Americans have a history of systemic racism, discrimination that's prevented them from building wealth. So a lot of times, you'll see that play out in the relationship. You have to examine, okay, what are those different attitudes? What are those different habits? And how do we get past them? But the most important things for couples to remember is you're not talking about money. When you're talking about money, it's a wonderful opportunity to open up and take your relationship to a deeper level. You got to talk about, what are those things you saw about spending and investing growing up? Here's what I think. Here's what's different. Tina and Marcus are parents. One thing I tell all parents to get on the same page, ask yourself, what are the 5 most important things that we want to teach our kid about money? And what do we have to do to change our own behavior to walk the walk and be that example? And those things help you get on track. So money can really help you deepen your relationship at every level. Or again, it can show you where things might not work out, because if you can't talk to somebody about that, and if they're not being honest to you about that, then you might have some bigger issues down the line.
And while you talk about cultural differences, according to statistics, they also say that Black immigrants end up being economically better than Black African Americans here in the United States.
Absolutely. Charlamagne and I talked about that a lot when we had Roger Ferguson here a couple weeks ago. Black immigrants, what's interesting is the Black immigrant communities in the United States, they keep their money in their communities. Like they're creating business, they're very entrepreneurial, and they do business with each other. African Americans, we've just had this history of having things stolen from us, financial services industry ripping us off, things like redlining, all these different things, and it's left a psychological toll where it's affected our belief about ourselves, it's affected our trust in the financial services industry. So if I'm not mistaken, when you two got married, you had debt, she didn't.
Correct.
Right, correct. Just those different attitudes. A lot of immigrants, they have different attitudes about, debt and savings and investing. And all that plays out in our financial experience. But again, what our message here is always to African Americans to remember about themselves, that the wealth that we've created in face of all of this stuff just shows what we're really made of and what our resilience. And if we take these deeper dives into money, I so appreciate you all giving us the opportunity to do, you can learn what you're really made of, and that self-worth has got nothing to do with net worth.
So can anybody sign up, like how we're doing Credit Chronicles, right? Can any couple sign up to get this counseling and get their finances back on track?
Right. So if they go to Operation Hope's website, we have coaches again throughout the country.
And it's free.
And Puerto Rico, right, and it's free. And so you can go on and you can find a coach in your area. And the individual's commitment, the couple's commitment is the coach's commitment. And again, it's free. And it's based on the drive of the client. I call my clients my client family. Because it is, like Stacey T said, it is more, you're talking about more than just their finances. So you're talking about what's going on in the home, what's driving it. You're talking about how the family, how they grew up and that kind of thing. So it's really a holistic approach to being financially well.
All right. So, Tina, let's say you go out and you want to make a big purchase. Maybe you want to buy yourself, let's say, a new purse, just $2,000.
That's not happening right now.
Hey, I'm just asking the question.
I was
right?
speaking for him. We can't handle that right now.
But let's just say you like, okay, I want to purchase something. It's $2,000.
What?
Do you check with Marcus before you make a purchase?
I normally don't make big purchases because I try to coupon everything.
She is
So,
a coupon person.
I'll
You said a
probably
whole
wait.
2,000.
I probably, but normally
not
I
Michael
talk to him.
Kors.
If it's something that major, yes.
Marcus, and what's your response if she wants to do something? Are you ever like, no, that's not a good idea? Or do you guys splurge sometimes and say, okay, get it?
Baby,
you
you
deserve
bugging.
it.
Baby needs
You
milk.
deserve it, man. It's Valentine's Day. You want to get yourself something nice.
Like she definitely communicates with me everything. Like I'll be at work, she'll call me 3, 4, 5 times in a row to let me know, hey, I'm catching this sale, I'm catching this coupon, and it's like she said, nothing really too crazy. And most of the time, I kind of understand like what she tries to get is things that we really need. Like, hey, I'm getting food for the baby, I'm getting this, you know.
You ain't gotta call me
So,
that though.
so if she did call you and
Anything
say,
she's spending, she kind of lets me know though. That's kind of what
what if she told you she wanted to spend $2,000 on a purse? How would you react?
I'd be like, where we got $2,000 from? But
Now, do you guys have do you have a joint bank account and you guys make all your payments for everything out of that account, or do you also have separate accounts? How does that work?
we have a joint bank account, and we do have separate, but we know about it. I'm working, so I kind of just pay what the bills are. I just try to, as soon as the check comes in, hey, this is rent, this is car payment, whatever we have to do. I kind of just send it out there, try to get it done immediately. So there's not much left after that. But.
So what are the goals for you guys? I know part of it is to get out of debt, but what are the other goals that you have financially?
For sure, one is to get more knowledge and education. I feel like the more you know, then the better you'll be able to take care of yourself. So that's what I tend to grasp from it, or I want to get from it.
And, honestly, to also take a vacation and not worry financially. That would be nice. Have a family vacation and help take care of our families, That would be nice. And learn things that our parents doesn't know.
Right.
So we could impart it on our kids and our siblings and things like that. So that's something that I would definitely like.
Man, I wish this was the kind of show where we gave away prizes like vacations and stuff, but it's not.
Well, for all of you out there who are...
We wish that too, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
No, but you guys are, they're very good communication and all that other stuff, but it was really the student loans. And I know you were telling me you were the first generation in your family to go to college, and you didn't understand private student loans.
I'm the eldest of my family. I'm the first from my parents, and they didn't, they both of them, not from America, so they didn't get this type of education. So I'm the first person to go to school, and originally I wasn't even gonna go to school. I wanted to do the military, and then I spoke with people, and they were encouraging me, no, you should go to school, and I'm like, how am I going to take care of it? And they're like, yeah, you could get loans, and I didn't know anything about that stuff, and they encouraged me to do it, and I got a NJ class loan, I think it was, which was a private loan, and I didn't know what the difference between a private loan and the federal one, and that's a whole nother story in itself.
Sheesh.
But yeah, so that put me in a little situation there. But
Tina, was there any hesitation on your part, being that you didn't have any debt at all? So, was there any hesitation where you're like, well, maybe we should clear this up before we get married? Like, what were your thoughts beforehand?
Definitely. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Definitely there was, because as I'm not used to that. I'm from the Caribbean, I'm Jamaican, so I'm used to just, working, paying, and so I'm not used to, when he told me how much it was, I had to think about it.
Right.
But, I love him. So I figure it's something that we would be able to tackle together. So.
And when you guys plan for your wedding, then how does that happen when you're like, okay, I know we're taking on this debt, but we are getting married. How did the wedding happen? Because I know some people are hesitant, knowing that they have financial responsibilities, to spend money on something like a wedding.
I had a good saving.
Okay.
I had a good saving, and he helped. I'm not saying I have a good saving and he didn't help, but I had a good saving. We dip in.
That's a good woman right there,
saving.
man.
So
When you guys got married,
We help
well,
each other out.
for you, Envy, because you got married a lot younger. Financially, were you guys in a good space when you had to plan your wedding?
Yeah, no, I was in a good space. I was DJing, so I had mixtape money and everything was good. I the hardest for me was just paying off the loans. I just really didn't care about those loans at the time. I just graduated from college. I didn't care about the loans. I didn't care about credit cards. I didn't care about anything. I just thought they'd go away when you graduate.
Right.
And then when you try to buy something finally, you be like, well, your credit scores are 280. And you be like, why? And then be like, you have all this debt. And then you got to go back and fix it. But that's why, I'm really focused in pushing my kids to do things now that they don't have those problems. Like, that's why my daughter, she owns her own property at this age. So that property can pay for her school loans and do things like that, like she said, that I didn't know about. My parents never taught me because they didn't know.
Right.
So the fact that I have, the knowledge, I'm trying to teach them early so they know. And I really, don't want her to go to the college that she wants to go to. I want her to go to another college where they want to give her a free ride, but she wants to go to this other college. But sorry, that's just personal. But I just, you just try to teach your kids early so they know and they get the knowledge that we didn't get.
All right. Well, when you know better, you do better, right?
There you go.
Yep.
Well,
All
good
right.
luck, guys.
Yeah, we'll be
Thank you.
watching
Thank you
it. Where
so
can we
much.
watch these Credit Chronicles again?
We're gonna Credit Chronicles are gonna be on Every Wealth Wednesday. You can watch them on the Breakfast Club YouTube channel, and we're gonna be following them for 8 weeks. And we want everybody to be part of this process and go to Power 105
1fm.com.
Yep, website and look for Self. And one winner out there is going to get $5,000 towards their own debt load, which they're going to use that money towards their debt load. So we want to build a family. We want to build a community over the next 8 weeks. And as they get better, we're going to get better. And we're also going to give one of you in the audience $5,000 to help you get better.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm sure everybody can use the lessons that you guys will be learning along the way
for sure.
for themselves, too. So that would be really helpful to people as we're all trying to get better economically, financially savvy, and get out of debt and get those credit scores up.
Give yourself some credit.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
you.
for having us.
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.